It was a book that came out quite some years ago, and this particular book, the reason we bring it up is it's important because it's the one that kind of introduced people to this whole lean thinking, lean production concept. The book was written by Womack, Jones and Roos, as you can see on the screen there. And it's interesting because they talk about the machine that changed the world. I always reference the word, the machine, because the business functions like a machine if you have a lean business, if you have balanced processes and things like that. And when we run our simulation for classroom training, people actually see the machine come alive. But the origins of our information or awareness of lean production, lean thinking, was this particular book where it came out. Now, a person who played an enormous role in the implementation and development of lean and the development of the Toyota production system is a gentleman by the name of Lee Toyota. And I hope I pronounced that right. But his name pops up significantly, more frequently in any references around the history and the development of lean thinking. So there's a little bit about the orientation of it, or the origins of it. It's important to recognize that the Toyota production system relates to Toyota production, and the origins of lean is manufacturing. And the problem with that is if you take a manufacturing view and then apply that in different businesses, then lean itself doesn't necessarily work. And a lot of consultants in the game come up short when they try and roll out lean with the thinking mentality around manufacturing, but the business that they're working with is not manufacturing. So whilst it originated in the Toyota production system and motor vehicle manufacturing initially, the ideas within lean can be applied to any business. You just need to adapt it correctly. So let me show you a little video that describes specifically what lean is visually rather than me talking about it. So just take a look at this video. That's lean in action. The reason we show that video is it highlights the fact that the focus of lean is to take waste out, right? Ultimately, and in this particular case, it's taken out movement that is unnecessary. So rather than going through the long process of folding the shirt, it said, okay, what can we move out of that and then leave behind only that which is essential to fold that shirt? And basically that is lean in action. So one, I hope that was interesting. And number two, I hope they give you a clue if you've never folded a shirt like that. So it's worth giving it a go. The second thing I want to run through before we talk about the practical use of these are the principles of lean. They are principles that we apply. They are not hard and fast rules, which is important to point out because some of these are unattainable, but they are essentially principles that sit behind lean. The first one is this. Zero inventory is a principle. If we could get to zero inventory, then we have zero cash tied up holding things in a warehouse. So zero inventory is the first principle. The second principle is zero waiting. If we can take out queuing, if we can make things flow in such a way that nothing's stopping, nothing's queuing, nothing's waiting, then cycle times are reduced and the cost per unit is going to be lowered. The third principle is customer pull, and that is where we allow customers to pull through what we're providing rather than a push system. And we're going to talk about this in detail a little bit later. Push systems are significantly different than pull systems, and some companies build their business around push systems, Apple for example, which we'll talk about later, and some companies build their businesses around pull systems, which again we'll talk about a little bit later. So customer pull is a principle of lean. The fourth principle is maximum flow. We want to optimize flow through a process. We don't want things to impede or interfere with the flow of our production lines, the things that make us the money at the end of the day. And the final principle is minimum time. Only take as much time as we need to produce something. Like I gave the example of the video there, folding the shirt, right? We halved the time basically. Minimum time, minimum movement. We took out all of the waste in there. So minimum time is the fifth principle. And if we put all the principles up on the screen, I don't have an acronym for these. You can probably develop your own. But the principles are zero inventory, zero waiting, customer pull, maximum flow, minimum time. Now, I want to highlight a couple of points associated with these principles. Number one, they are philosophies. It's a philosophy of lean. These are not hard and fast rules that you're going to try and implement, because some of these things are going to be impossible to achieve. The second thing is these things are a way of thinking. We recognize that inventory is waste. We also recognize that it is essential to have in some circumstances. So it doesn't mean just because it's essential to have that it's not waste. Having it is a decision that we make around running the business, but it is still essentially a waste in the business. The third thing is that these particular principles disregard risk management and business strategy. So zero inventory, there are businesses that need to, in mining sector, for example, where they need to blend materials. So they have to hold material, which is inventory, sitting there so that they can blend. Some organizations have to hold inventory in order to address emergency events. You might get weather events which prevent production or the supply from, people who provide inputs into the process. So you would hold inventory to cater to those events. So they are principles. It doesn't mean that you have to target those specifically, but you just need to keep in mind what the principles of lean are.